وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, as the event is about to commence, I would like to remind those whose cameras are on to dress appropriately. However, you are allowed to turn off your camera, but please don't forget to turn it on at the end of the program during the photography session. Thank you very much. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Young Babagia Professor Dr. Wan Sabri Wan Yusuf, Vice Chancellor, University of Sultan Azlan Shah, Professor Dr. Shukran Abdurrahman, Dean Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kuliya of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, Dr. Muhammad Zulfahmi Muhammad, Dean Faculty of Islamic Studies and Social Science, University of Sultan Azlan Shah, Associate Professor Dr. Haslina Ibrahim, Deputy Dean, Postgraduate and Responsible Research, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kuliya of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, Deputy Deans, Deputy Director, Head of Departments, Head of Research, Head of International and Global Networking, Professors, Associate Professors, Doctors, and academic members. And last but not the least, our graduate students, the young researcher and scholar in making. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahabi wa sallim taslima. All praise is due to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him and glorify His name. We beseech Allah to send His blessing to His noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions. We give thanks to Almighty Allah once again for making it possible for us again to convene in this session to listen to the second keynote speech that will be delivered by our distinguished associate professor. Once again, I am Dr. Isa Abibullah Obalu, a postdoc candidate from the Department of Usuluddin and Comparative Religion Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kulia of IRKHS, IIUM. To stimulate our discourse on research in this colloquium, ladies and gentlemen, please let us start with the first program on our agenda by inviting young Babagia Professor Dr. Wan Sabriwan Yusuf, Deputy Vice Chancellor, University Sultan Azlan Shah, to deliver his welcoming speech. You are highly welcome, Professor Datu.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear respected Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dr. Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector, International Islamic University, Malaysia. Respected Tan Sri Professor Datuk Dr. Nordin Kardi, Vice Chancellor, University Sultan Azlan Shah. Beloved Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, Dean, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Colloquium of Islamic Review Knowledge and Human Sciences, IIUM. Beloved Dr. Muhammad Zulfahmi Muhammad, Dean, Faculty of Islamic Studies and Social Sciences, University Sultan Azlan Shah. Co-Program Managers for Second International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competitions, Dr. Ahmad Arif Zulkifli from International Islamic University, Malaysia, and Dr. Shafiq Sahimi from University Sultan Azlan Shah. Dear paper presenters and participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a great pleasure for me to be part of this auspicious co-event. I would like to express my gratitude to the organizing committee, IIUM, USAS, and AIUA for extending the invitation for me to welcome participants and to give welcoming remark in this second postgraduate colloquium. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to our second International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition. It is a joint program between Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Colloquium of Islamic Review Knowledge and Human Sciences, IIUM, and Faculty of Islamic Studies and Social Sciences, University Sultan Azlan Shah, in collaboration with ASEAN Islamic University Association, AIUA. Alhamdulillah, today we are very fortunate to receive the support and participation from all our fellow international postgraduate researchers in this profound event. Under the theme of Islamic Heritage and Contemporary Responsible Research. As you all aware, the purpose of this program is to provide graduate students with an international platform to present their research progresses and research findings, subsequently to promote the spirit of impactful research that will benefit society in a broader scale. It is also intended to inspire graduate students to strive for excellence and to conduct an engaging and responsible research. Therefore, this collaborative event, I must say, is a very, very commendable and should be continued in the future. To all participants, congratulations and thank you for committing your time and energy toward this colloquium. I wish all of you the best and very fruitful colloquium. Once again, I would like to record my appreciation to Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kulliyah of Islamic Review Knowledge and Human Sciences, IIUM. Faculty of Islamic Studies and Social Sciences from USAS, and AIUA, ASEAN Islamic University Association, for making this event a reality again. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Datu, for your very impactful and enlightening speech. Jazakallah khairan. The next speech before the commencement of the research poster competition, which is the second keynote speech, will be delivered by Dr. Muhammad Gulfahmi Muhammad, Dean, Faculty of Islamic Studies and Social Science, University Sultan Azlan Shah, on the topic entitled Islamic Heritage, Unveiling the Hidden Gems. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me before I proceed to briefly introduce our today's keynote speaker. Dr. Muhammad Gulfahmi bin Muhammad is a senior lecturer and dean for the Faculty of Islamic Studies and Social Science, University of Sultan Azlan Shah, USAS. He actively contributes to the community activities and involves in various academic studies. With this brief introduction, I would like now to call upon Dr. Muhammad Gulfahmi Muhammad to deliver his keynote speech. Please welcome Dr.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Yafqahu qawli rabbi zidni ilma warzuqni fahma. A very good morning to our honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Profesor Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of International Islamic University of Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Prof Dr. Nordin bin Kardi, Vice Chancellor of University Sultan Azlan Shah, Perak. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Wan Sabriwan Yusof, Deputy Vice Chancellor of University Sultan Azlan Shah. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, Dean of Kulliyah of Islamic Review Knowledge and Human Sciences. Yang berbahagia Profesor Madya Dr. Haslina Ibrahim, organizer of Colloquium from International Islamic University of Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Dr. Syafiq Syahimi, organizer team from University Sultan Azlan Shah. To all my colleagues, dear brothers and sisters, I'd like to thank the organizer for inviting me to second International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition. I feel so gratitude for having this moment with this great occasion, and I hope that we can benefit something from this event, inshallah. As per request by our organizer, that I have been given to deliver my speech on the topic of Islamic heritage, unveiling the hidden gems. So before we proceed, allow me to share my presentation. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Islamic heritage, unveiling the hidden gem. Okay, let's start with the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, the foundation of Islam can be traced back into a barren land of Mecca some 1400,000 years ago. 1400 years ago, Islam was probably the least known religion in that time. compared to Christian, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, and so on. In fact, in the early of time of its period, European called Muslim as Saracen. Actually, such title was named after Sarah's curse on Ishmael. This term gradually became obsolete following the rise of the Peter the Venerable after he sought assistance from Robert of Catton to translate Al-Quran. From the day on, the work of Robert of Catton, titled as Muhammad, pseudo-prophet, or in English, Law of False Prophet Muhammad, was recognized as the first Latin translation in the world. This Peter the Venerable, who played a very important role behind this work, was at first trying to understand Islam from their own sacred scripture. Turns out this misleading information and misunderstanding had occurred during the cradle of Islamic history. Back in time, the only source that Europeans relied on to understand Islam and Muslim was actually through a person named John of Damascus. He was a Christian monk and priest, lived and educated in very center of Umayyad Caliphate. Then he left his pastoral post some 706 CE and became a monk at the Jerusalem monastery. He launched attack against Caliphate ever since until he died in 749 CE. Then we move to introduction of heritage. According to Cambridge Dictionary, heritage is features, treasures, belonging that belong to cultural and particular society, such as tradition, languages, or building that were created in the past and still have historical importance for society. It is also reflect identity of certain people. In other words, heritage is the range of ancient material that give highly value for contemporary activity, especially for education, such as his school and university visitation program. Heritage include preserving, excavating, displaying, restoring of collection of all things, and that consists two different heritage. One of them is intangible heritage. Intangible heritage means practice, representation, expression, knowledge, skill, and cultural associated with some community, group of individuals. This type of heritage transmitted from generation to generation. And while the second is tangible heritage, means historical structure that includes building, historical places, monuments, artifacts, which are considered worthy for preservation for the future generation. And this kind of heritage includes archaeology sites, architecture, science, and technology of the past. So, how about important in preserving heritage? As I mentioned earlier, heritage is contemporary activity that draws our intention from the past. So, as far as heritage is concerned, it can be an element for political recognition, a medium for intercultural dialogue, a mean of ethical reflection, and a potential basis for local economic development. Be it in local or global stage. So, heritage is an essential part of present that we live, while it observes strong willingness in building our future generation. Ladies and gentlemen, heritage sites is considered physical component, an area or a group of people, certain country. Some cultural heritage come in architecture built in strategic position and location. Their uses show their uniqueness, history that lies behind the building, historical site, and so on. And the architectural heritage have their own story on how they were built. So that from this point, heritage is very important for local community enrichment program for the country, and at the same time, it enable young and future generation to participate in their own route of cultural life. It would also be time turner memorabilia, observing conflict, reconciliation, peace, and development. Without this type of heritage, without this, incoming generation will not able to understand history behind their nation. Heritage is one source of community and the people to learn from the past. And this actually come with the passage Al-Quran, Surah Al-A'raf, passage 74, when Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says in the Quran, واذكروا إذ جعلكم خلفاء من بعد عاد وبوأكم في الأرض تتخذون من سهولها قصورا وتنحتون الجبال بيوتا فاذكروا آلاء الله ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين. صدق الله العظيم. Means remember when he made you successor after Ad and established you in the land, and you built palaces on its plain and carved homes into mountain. So remember Allah's favor and do not go about spreading corruption in the land. This ayat reflects how important art palaces, art building to our future, to take lesson from their mistake, from their corrupted doing, so that we improve our life in near future. So that is the point. How about preserving versus appreciation? Preservation versus appreciation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, they seem like a interchangeable in sense of maintaining value of heritage. Preservation is meant to be protection aspect for physical context. Therefore, preservation is something to maintain in its origin form of state, while appreciation means that one has fully sensible of good setting on something that should include to preserve it. Thus, from this point of view, appreciation is a very important pushing factor that helps heritage preservation. From this, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala again emphasized in the Quran the importance of the aspect of lesson. There are many verses that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. One of those ayat I would like to highlight Surah Yunus, ayat 13. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد أهلكنا القرون من قبلكم لما ظلموا وجاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات وما كانوا ليؤمنوا كذلك نجزي القوم المجرمين. Imagine the many generation that we have annihilated before you when they have transgressed. Their messenger went to them with a clear proof, but unfortunately they refused to believe, with us required those guilty people. And the second passage that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mentioned specifically about a building, about site, okay? Surah Al-Fajr, verse 7 to 8, إِرَمَ ذَاتِ الْعِمَادِ الَّتِي لَمْ يُخْلَقْ مِثْلُهَا فِي الْبِلَادِ. Iram, who had lofty pillars, Allah says, unmatched in other land. And many more, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mentioning in the Quran, Okay, so probably the most explicit ayat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourage human being to take part in the journey to taking for taking lesson from the past is the Surah Al-Imran, Surah Al-Imran 137. قد خلت من قبلكم سنن فسيروا في الأرض قد خلت من قبلكم سنن فسيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة المكذبين. Similar situation that passed before you, Muhammad. So travel throughout the land to see the fate of the denier, see fate of disbelievers. Okay. So from this point of view, Al-Quran clearly offers best reference for our ummah for the lesson through the eye of heritage. While Al-Quran carries lesson for human being, for humankind from the past, be it story of prophet, annihilated people, ancient building, and others. Modern technology, intellect, and intellectual should then materialize them in academic publication and preserve them as heritage site for future generation. This type of coexistence that make message of the Al-Quran and lesson from it are more visible to society. Surely lesson from the Quran are more focal to a human being. But imagine with combined technology makes Al-Quran even greater compared to 1400 years ago during the Islamic era of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-Quran as it is give pass for human to choose right pass over the wrong ones. It also emphasizes doing good, kind, and teaching people to live in harmony and peace. In contrast, unfortunately, most Orientalists do not see this. In fact, Orientalists, okay, I'm talking about Orientalism, Orientalists seem to be propagating Al-Quran as contra, as a source of intolerance. Tell you one example. This passage is very, very popular among Orientalists. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واقتلوهم حيث ثقفتموهم وأخرجوهم من حيث أخرجوكم والفتنة أشد من القتل. Meanings, kill them whenever you find them. Okay, Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 191. Most of misunderstanding from perspective of Orientalists is justified through this ayah. Okay, where about characterization of violence in the religion of Islam can be seen in the Quran through this ayat. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this perception is not true. When we look at very carefully from the context of Asbabun Nuzul, turns out actually this passage was revealed after the incident that took place in Hudaybiyah Treaty, when the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam decided on a journey to Mecca to perform Umrah along with his companion. But on the eve of this journey, some companions had started to worry themselves about this believer, okay, so who could not be trusted upon the treaty. So if they choose to be aggressive, I mean, disbelievers choose to be aggressive, what option they are going to do? So that this ayat, the word in the present event, which gave Sahabat the permission to meet challenge of their aggression and kill them whenever they find them. That is it, the true perception, the true event of the Hudaybiyah treaty. Okay, so let us imagine if we let Al-Quran speaks by itself through heritage, then it would be certainly defying this misconception of the Western toward our ummah, toward Al-Quran, toward our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Since this heritage preservation is about mapping of event of the past, and we can only understand storyline with live material on the ground. Okay, so this is very the important of how we should preserve, okay, our heritage. When we build to preserve it, then we know how to appreciate. So that we moved into okay, okay, sorry, okay, I missed this slides. Okay, we move to another slide, reclaiming Islamic heritage from the hand of Orientalists. Okay, so Orientalist is one thing. Okay, let me start with a definition of Orientalism. Of course, as we know, Orientalists refer to a group of Western scholars and method to understand Eastern world. Okay, from Edward Said, he defined, okay, Orientalists as following: number one, Western scholars who teach and write or perform a series of research concerning Eastern. Okay, they are anthropologists, sociologists, okay, or philologists. Okay, number two, Orientalism is a Western discipline to dominate, okay, restructure and control Eastern society. Their interest is to create, teach, govern, and revise argument of the East, okay, on the subject region accordingly. This is a definition came from Edward Said. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, long before the rise of American domination, okay, in 20th century, Eurocentric Orientalists was a subject of tool, or we can say mediator, for colonial power to expand the empire. Tell you one example, Dr. Christian Schnock-Verdronje was a Dutch scholar. He was among the example of Dutch colonial government that had been seek for his advice, for his supervision to smoothen Dutch army to gain control over Sultanate of Aceh. Ladies and gentlemen, Orientalism started to highlight their interest in manuscript study. Okay, for this subject was regarded as highly valued material for those intending to conduct study and research of the East. It was Edward Pocock, okay, who transformed the tide of Orientalism from merely religious interest to Eastern or Arabic and philological study. He was a British scholar, okay. Edward Pocock spent his entire Orientalist magnus opus with learning the Oriental language, written and spoken Arabic. Edward Pocock, known to have abundance of Arabic manuscript, paid so much intention to study them, and this include his geography, translation, philology, literature, philosophy, astronomy, and many more. Well, manuscript study appeared to be very significant value some 18th century ago. That a book dedicated to locate Arabic manuscript in the world was first published. This encyclopedia, I'm sorry, this encyclopedia was written by German Orientalist Karl Brockhelman, okay, as pictured split on the screen, was one considered the most complete mapping book locating Arabic manuscript throughout the world. Of course, this was not excluded the Malay archipelago. Since the Malay world become subject of attraction, become a magnet of Western power from 15 centuries ago, the element of Orientalism was among them. Remember, one of early European account regarding the Malay kingship can be seen through an English captain named Alexander Hamilton, who paid a visit, okay, to Sultan Muhammad II Johor, okay, when he himself, right, he witnessed atrocity of the Sultan toward his subject, toward his people. Mr. Hamilton then conclude Sultan was a sodomite, okay, and he had taken many of his noblemen to fulfill his desire. Also, the Sultan was depicted to have executed his servant out of anything. Another example came from a colonial officer, Gulik, okay, to have been to be said in his view that Islam was not any significant extent in Malay kingdoms as state religion. Instead, religious men such as Chaplain were about to devour the Sultan desire and Malay chieftain. He then reiterated that there were neither Qadi nor Islamic jurisprudence system until the British came to be a protectorate power in Malay Peninsula. Malay annals such as Merung Mahawangsa, Hikayat Hang Tua, Sejarah Melayu, and other had ever been a magnet for Orientalists, especially English Orientalists, to study them. Unfortunately, this Orientalists came along with colonial work, and they started to colonize our religious type and manuscript document. Without a doubt, Orientalism was a product of colonialism, imperialism. There were many unpublished manuscript statutes, folk weaponry brought from colonized land to Europe. In fact, most of these artifacts are being exhibited in their library nowadays and museum. Some manuscripts such as Kitab Perintah Pawang, Undang-Undang Raja Melaka, Hikayat Hang Tua, Hikayat Indra Putra had been lost to colonialism, are kept in Museum of Royal Asiatic Society of Great Britain and Ireland. Okay, Great British scholar who serve colony government in Malaya, they give their intention to gain manuscript from local. According to Syed Naqib Allatas, the earliest recorded manuscript to be acquired by them was a Terengganu inscription dated back some February 2020, 1303 CE. Okay, this followed by, of course, this work was followed by misinterpretation of this Orientalists toward our society, toward our religion in the Malay world. Of course, bias, prejudice toward Orient and stereotyping is one of the essential features of Orientalists. This stereotype, for example, portrays Malay as lazy, stubborn, dumb, and non-progressive people. For their perception. Okay, one of the example came from Frank Swettenham, a colonial officer in Malaya, once stated, when Raja Muda Abdullah of Perak has asked British to interfere, Perak affair to crush rebellion in the state, Swettenham was reported to say that the British would teach Raja Muda Perak how to govern the country. This, of course, underlines the idea of supremacy of Western civilization through Eurocentric Orientalists. And after this, Swettenham are reported to say that Islamic jurisprudence are merely fits for the Middle Eastern world. Implementing Sharia jurisprudence will reflect backwardness and reject modernity, as he been reported to say, while the Western system that offers secularism is far better for the sake of development for this community, means Malay. Another aspect of Orientalism that sparked reaction is the quest of Malay ancestral origin. The question of where did the Malay originated from? Did the Malay was a real Bumiputra of Nusantara? In pre-independent nation of Malay archipelago, in the this question, what among that arose from a perception of Orientalists. Actually, in pre-independent nation of Malay archipelago and the absence of academic institution in Malaya independent period of Malaysia, it was Orientalists who took charge in studying the question of the mentioned question. In the eye of Orientalists, the Malay is just an invented nation that had been created since 18th century. This idea come up with theories. Okay, one of theories is better known as theory of migration. Okay, somehow was loudly become a narrative of Western scholar. Okay, Western discourse about origin of Malay can be traced from the Professor Johann Hendrik Kern. He was an Australian Orientalist. He the one who laid foundation of Malay Polynesian study that conclude oceanic race and of course Malay race and their language constitute group of people ranging from Cambodia to Fijian island. Okay, the Johann Hendrik Kern also suggested the ancestor Malay Polynesian was a seafarer who came from Tonkin, mainland China nowadays. So that from his point of view, okay, Malay people are not originated from this archipelago. Instead, okay, they came from Tonkin. Okay, through the theory that called as a migration, mass migration, the theory. Okay, and most striking finding that seemed to be so controversial was probably came from Professor Gelder. Okay, when he asserts that there were two waves of migration of Malay from Yunnan Chinese, mainland China nowadays, from Yunnan to Southeast Asia. Okay, that consists two wave of migration. First wave known as early of Proto-Malay. Okay, that arrived here during late Stone Age, some 8,000 before Christ. Okay, and later Malay known as Deutero-Malay. Okay, that were seem more civilized. Okay, this Deutero-Malay then settled in the valley and the river mouths and drove the early inhabitant into jungle. Okay, so that this point came with heavily criticized from our academic, one of critic from Muhammad Anwar Ahmadin. The term itself, the term Deutero itself was named after biblical chapter of Deuteronomy, which reflects mass migration of Israel in ancient time of Israel. And surprisingly, okay, Prof. Gelden was a Jewish scholar who said to be conducted research from Europe and never present and never came to Southeast Asia. This is very strange that he only relied on baseless evidence and argument. Yet this theory is still accepted to this present day. Okay. For example, okay, it was around 2018. Okay, a delegate from political party, okay, Chinese political party, once said that Malay is also pendatang. Okay, referring their ancestral issue. Okay, so that the Malay does not deserve Bumiputra status and its privileges. Okay, so this kind of stigma have still been affected heavily on our society. So it is time or never that we must reclaim our heritage from the hand of Orientalists. So way forward. So how about our future planning? Okay, looking at above discussed matter, we can now give a new perspective, and we should, okay, find new perspective and narrative of Islamic heritage. The researchers in form of archaeologists, anthropologists, historian, academia, okay, must then take part in changing new atmosphere, new landscape of keeping this Islamic heritage intact and recorrect them with a true perspective. The only answer to recounter research that had been made by Orientalists is through us, Muslim scholar. Unfortunately, nowadays, as I can witness myself, the motion of reclaiming heritage may seem nothing or little is happening. Okay? In Perak, for example, there were many abandoned historical sites that yet to be thoroughly documented. For example, when did Islam come to Perak? Who was responsible to bring Islam to Perak? What was the first Islamic building in Perak? Okay, had Sharia law been implemented in pre-colonial era in Perak? Okay, what was Islamic institutional legislative in the pre-colonial Perak? Who were the mufti of Perak who served religious council in Perak? This question is left unattended. Okay, then we must start to looking how to not only to find but to document and preserve this document for our young generation to read. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, it is disheartening to see that some historical sites, some historical building are left abandoned. For example, a house that belonged to Datuk Maharaja Lela of Perak. Okay, it's a very important figure of Perak. Has been left without further conservation. This house belong to Datuk Maharaja Lela. Is located in Pasir Sala. Okay, and also Madrasah Bumbung Lima, or better known, among local as Surau Latifia, also located in Pasir Sala, which is regarded as the oldest surau in Perak, has left rotten to the ground before the community decided to voice out their complaint in media. That finally attract government state intention to rebuild the surau. Without them, I would never imagine what will happen to this surau. Okay, and third one is Masjid Raja. Masjid Raja, as display on the screen right now. Masjid Raja Lenggong Perak. Okay, is said to be the one of the oldest mosque in Malaysia. Malaysia, not Perak. It is believed that the mosque was built sometime around 1539. In conjunction of coronation of Sultan Muzaffar first. During his reign in Perak. And those questions that I just raised here, should have studied and documented in book, perhaps. And I hope that we look into Malaysian Karl Brookhelman, that not only documenting all these artifacts, but mapping all the exact location, where about the event took place. Hence, the Encyclopedia of Malaysian Heritage is a must. We must act from now on. So from this point, I should conclude, and I call upon all researchers, I call upon all historians to get to work, shoulder to shoulder, inshallah. And we hope that my speech today, will inspire, will inspire our community, our academic community, inshallah. And that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, dear doctor, for your excellent presentation. I hope it will inspire many of our graduate students and benefit them in their further research, inshallah. With this, we have come to the end of the keynote speech. Now, we are moving to the session 3 of the research poster competition, which will come up as usual in 3 different languages, English, Bahasa, and Arabic language. So I would like to invite the first moderator in person of Sister Halima to take the charge of the presentation.
Thank you very much, Brother Isa. Pleasure to have you and the rest of the organizers. Bismillah. Good morning, deans, deputy deans, head of the departments, head of the research, professors, associate professors, doctors, and academic members, my colleagues, graduates, and young scholars. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah. Praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this program. I am Halima Hamdugura, a student of International Islamic University, Malaysia, a PhD student currently waiting for Viva from Kuliya of Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Islamic Revealed Knowledge, Human Sciences, Department of Fiqh and Usul Fiqh. I am indeed honored to moderate this session, and I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this great opportunity to moderate this from far away my country in Kenya. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, now let me call upon my first presenter on the floor, Anna Tejmina S. Basman, with the research topic, the development of psycho-spiritual intervention module for the post-traumatic growth among Muslim Filipino humanitarian workers. Welcome to the floor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The presentation today is on the development of a psycho-spiritual intervention module for post-traumatic growth among Muslim Filipino humanitarian workers. I'm Anna Tejmina S. Basman, PhD psychology candidate from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. As an introduction, the research is intended to develop a psycho-spiritual intervention module to mitigate the risk of negative impact on humanitarian workers during disaster response and to increase their chances of experiencing post-traumatic growth or the positive transformation we experience after a traumatic or difficult situation. So in the case of humanitarian workers, this includes natural disaster, human-induced or armed conflict. In addition, this study will extensively examine the participants' demographic traits, including gender, to make a better educated judgment about developing recommendations that are demographically matched to our target audience. Because the research product attempts to better equip humanitarian workers while simultaneously addressing their mental health, our ultimate goal is to develop a module discussing spirituality and post-traumatic growth in Muslim Filipino humanitarian workers. For your research objectives, we have 3. Number 1 is to develop a psycho-spiritual module for post-traumatic growth among Muslim Filipino humanitarian workers. And then the next one is we want to evaluate the effectiveness of that psycho-spiritual module for post-traumatic growth among them. And then lastly, we would want to explore the participants' perceptions and opinion after the intervention for post-traumatic growth among them. So what are the significance, what areas are we looking at in terms of the significance of this study? So we have identified 4. Number 1 is theoretical, next is research, then clinical and practical. So for the theoretical perspective, inshallah, this will contribute to facilitate the understanding of the role of spirituality or psycho-spirituality in the development of post-traumatic growth among Muslim Filipino humanitarian workers. In terms of research, this may facilitate future scholars who have an interest in this topic to discover more about psycho-spiritual intervention in the context of Muslim Filipinos, especially because Philippines is vulnerable to different types of disaster, it being situated right beside the Pacific Ocean. And then from the clinical perspective, we deem that this is also significant because this will contribute in the field of clinical psychology in that The output of this study will provide a model that will be used to the said target group as part of their institution's mental health care program. So we know that now people or institutions are adding extra effort to integrate or be more aware of mental health for the welfare of their staff and members of their team. And then lastly, I deem that this study is significant in a practical sense because the development of a psychospatial intervention could be used to promote post-traumatic growth among Muslim Filipino humanitarian workers. For the conceptual framework, the main proposition is that traumatic experience would lead to post-traumatic growth. And then based on literature review, we have identified, among others, two main factors that could promote or enhance post-traumatic growth, and that includes gratitude and then spirituality. And according to Tedeschi and Calhoun, the main proponents of post-traumatic growth, there are 5 domains of PTG, that is new possibilities, relating to others, personal strength, spiritual change, and then appreciation of life. For the methods, our goal for the research design is that it's going to be mixed method, sequential exploratory design, which means that we are going to do the interview first or the qualitative component before we start the quantitative. So, which means that we are going to interview people first for us to be able to identify the factors or components that we would include in the module development. Then from there, in the module development, the process will be guided by the ADDIE model of PERT, which consists of 5 stages: analyze, design, develop, implement, and then evaluate. So once we create the module, we're going to conduct a pre-test, and then after that, intervention in the form of them implementing the module to them, and then after that, post-test. Later on, I'm going to share with you the link for you to know more about the topic and then the methods. For participants, we will mainly include humanitarian workers from both government and non-government organizations. And then we will also tap mental health practitioners and other subject matters during the development phase of the module. So we will also tap them for the validation of the module that will be crafted. And basically for the pre-test, post-test, and then intervention, we're gonna have 5 years of humanitarian experience as one of the major requirements for as an inclusion criteria. And then for the measures for the pre-test and post-test, we're going to use 3 instruments. Number 1 is post-traumatic growth inventory. Next is gratitude questionnaire, and then intrinsic spirituality scale. In terms of analyzing the data, for qualitative, we're going to use Clark and Broad's thematic analysis framework. And then for quantitative data, we're going to use mixed model ANOVA within between ANOVA. And then for the detailed presentation of this, like if you want to know more about the theories behind it, and then the actual method and things like that, feel free to visit the website or the link behind this QR code. So that's all. I'm Ana Tajmina again, PhD Psychology candidate from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for that interesting input. I will represent now my second presenters, which are Nuraina Abdul Wahab and Jamila Hanoum Abdul Khayoum, by the topic Module Development of Islamic Psychology of Self, IPS. Welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everybody. Today I will be presenting the module development and content validation of Islamic psychology of self. My name is Nuraini Abdul Wahab and my supervisor is Dr. Jamila Hanoum Abdul Khayoum. I am a postgraduate student at the Colloquium of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, Department of Psychology. So the first part of my presentation will be regarding the background for the need of this module in the Singapore Malay Muslim community who are committed to the Islamic rites and observances. However, the Muslims struggle with identity, social relevance, employability, economic stability. This is reflected in the Singapore Mental Health Survey in 2016, a correlation between Muslims with higher religiosity to a higher risk of developing schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders. 79% of Muslim patients approached an ustaz or a bomo to first treat mental illness. Healers would advise individuals to increase patience, prayers, and rituals to counter distress, inevitably delaying treatment and escalating the burden of illness. The Singapore Mental Health Survey in 2010 reported that 37.6% of Malay Singaporeans drop out of mental health treatments. So researchers and caregivers appeal for culturally blended treatments to cater to unique communities such as the Malay Muslim community in Singapore. The Islamic Religious Council of Singapore, MUIS, urged Asatiza, religious teachers, to collaborate with mental health practitioners in treatments. This current study aims to develop and content validate the Islamic Psychology of Self module. This Islamic Psychology of Self module is a 2-session pre-orientation module before mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. This module will provide Asatiza with resources to stimulate biopsychosocial, environmental, spiritual well-being through the framework of Islamic psychology and practical application of Maqasid Sharia. In order to develop the module, we asked the question, what components are needed to develop this Islamic Psychology of Self? We use 2 modules from the Adil program, one of which is an introduction of Maqasid Sharia and the other is grief and suffering. And we use Dr. Abdullah Rosman's grounded theory in Islamic psychology. The outcome of this is the practitioner's manual and the participants' workbook, which will be used in this 2-session intervention. Each session is a duration of 2 hours and 30 minutes. After completing the module development, phase 3 is to content validate the module. In order to do that, we prepared the content validation form and selected a panel of subject matter experts. Then we sent out the module to be reviewed and validated by Dr. Cik Amna Bahari from IIUM, Dr. Jamia Hajimanap from UKM, Ustaz Justin Parrott, Research Fellow at Yakin Institute, United States, Dr. Hairil Husaini Jamil from IIUM, and Dr. Rasjid Skinner, an Islamic psychologist from the UK. The subject matter experts reviewed the domains and the items within the content validity form. They provided scores for each item. This was then calculated to give us the content validity index. We utilized Dr. Muhammad Saiful Bahri Yusuf's content validity index calculation to analyze the results provided by the subject matter experts. In calculating the scores, we collated all of the scores and values from the 5 subject matter experts. We found that according to the content validity index calculation, the average score acceptable is 1. So when we calculated the average proportion of items of relevance across the results given by the 5 experts, the value was at 0.92, meeting satisfactory level. The average scale level content validity index calculation valued for all items in the content validation form was also at 0.92, meeting again satisfactory level. However, when we calculated the scale level of the content validity index across all of the experts, there was a lack in universal agreement and the score was valued at 0.68. The experts recommended simplification for language and a reorganization of the content, following which we revised the module based on the feedback and reviews. The module has been summarized, simplified, and reorganized to make it more straightforward and graspable for the participants. The next phase is the training of the Asatiza to conduct the module for the clinical trials. So for the practitioners training, Asatiza need to be certified by the Asatiza Recognition Board, the ERB, of the Majlis Ugama Islam Singapura, and they need to have a minimum of postgraduate diploma in counseling, after which the module was tested in a pilot test conducted at the Singapore Islamic Scholars and Religious Teachers Association, PERGAS. To conclude, the module will be used as two pre-orientation sessions to prepare participants to receive mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. The limitations of this module is that the topics covered in this module were only a brief introduction to the purpose of life, maqasid sharia, fate and predestination, qada wal qadar, and the different dimensions of the human self from the Islamic psychological perspective. This serves as an introduction to contemporary therapies. To resolve this, participants will be encouraged to further their learning at the PERGAS Institute of Learning so that they may continue to receive support from the Asatizas. We would like to mention special thanks to the Majlis Ugama Islam Singapura, the Adult Islamic Learning Department, ADIL, for the modules, and to PERGAS, Persatuan Ulama and Guru-Guru Agama Islam Singapura, for their support. Thank you for listening. We hope that it has been beneficial for you as it has been beneficial for us. Thank you.
Thank you very
Assalamu
much.
alaikum.
Thank you very much, my sisters, for that great input that you give to us. And now, brothers and sisters, allow me to call upon my last but not the least, Siti Inara Hasim, Jamila Hanum Abdul Qayyum, and Masuriyati Binti Haj Yahya, topic which is about mindful parenting among parents of the children with atypical development, a meta review. Welcome to the floor for the
Assalamualaikum
presentation.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Inara Hasim. I'm from International Islamic University, Malaysia. My poster is about mindful parenting among parents of children with atypical development, a meta review. Parenting is a challenging task, especially if it involves children with atypical development. Worldwide, it was reported that the number of cases for developmental disability was around 53 million. And it is also reported that most families caring for atypical development child, like ADHD, autism, learning disorder, intellectual disability, they are exposed to a multitude of problems, and this may include psychological distress like stress, depression, and anxiety, as well as having poor well-being. So looking at this situation, there is a growing need for effective parenting intervention to cater to these issues. Mindfulness-based parenting is a type of parenting intervention which is most studies nowadays. The concept of mindfulness has been around in the Western academic literature for about 100 of years. However, mindfulness as an intervention modality has only gained attention, especially in clinical practice, since around 50 years ago. So since then, mindfulness intervention has been extensively studied in various contexts, including in parenting. Mindfulness can be defined as being aware and paying attention in non-judgmental manner at any present moment. Whereas in parenting, it simply refers to being aware and intentionally paying attention in non-judgmental and non-reactive way to a child at any present moment. Numerous studies have shown the positive effects of mindfulness-based parenting intervention in reducing parents' psychological distress, increased parents' well-being, a level of mindfulness, as well as improving relationships between parents and the child. So my paper's objectives are, the first one is to discuss the types of mindful parenting used in these studies. Second, to discuss the methodologies applied. And finally, to discuss the results of intervention in these studies. Systematic online search for articles published in the past 5 years using multiple databases like Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, MyJournal, and many others using Boolean operator has yielded 6 review studies on the relevant topic. Among these 6 review studies found, 5 employed a quantitative analysis, whereas while 1 is a narrative review. Among these 77 studies extracted, later it was reduced to 35 studies due to exclusion of duplicates as well as studies that recruit the participants that were not among parents or primary caregivers of atypical children. So analyses were being conducted in these final 35 articles. These are the results. It was found that a majority of studies were being conducted in United States. There are 13 of them, whereas there are 10 in the Netherlands, 3 in Hong Kong, 2 in Canada and Jordan each, while each one in Israel, Iran, Italy, UK, and Thailand. The selected 35 studies employed an experimental design ranging from uncontrolled trials or single group with no comparison, waitlist control trial or passive control group, experiment with 2 or more group, and most of the studies they employed randomization in allocating their participants in each group. The number of samples range from 4 to 180. So the modalities involved in the interventions includes mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, a combination of MBCT and MBSR, acceptance commitment therapy, and the duration of the intervention for most studies was between 6 to 8 weeks, while the weekly intervention meetings is around 90 minutes. So the intervention was carried out by at least a graduate level instructor with a sufficient degree of training in mindfulness. All of the studies employed a pre and post measurement. All studies measure parenting stress. Some others measures are the psychological construct like depression, anxiety, and stress. Other variables measures were related to child behavioral issues, parenting well-being, self-compassion, and mindfulness. So while most studies reported reduced in depression, stress, anxiety level, increased parent self-compassion, increased mindfulness level. But most importantly, it was found that all of these studies show reduction in parenting stress and increased parents' well-being. And it was noted as well that only one study incorporated the element of spirituality and religion in the intervention. Mindfulness-based parenting has been extensively studied in both clinical and general populations since many years ago, as has been demonstrated by this meta-review. However, it was found that almost all of these intervention studies were formulated as secularized programs. There is quite a pronounced shortage of a study on the spiritual or religiosity element within the mindfulness-based parenting, despite mindfulness itself originating from a religious and philosophical background. This idea of total secularized intervention is inconsistent with research findings suggesting that religiosity and spiritual aspects may positively affect well-being, and this includes family caring for atypical children. And it is also noted as well that there is no evidence-based study yet conducted on mindfulness-based parenting in Malaysia, particularly among the Muslim population. Hence, in line with the robustness of previous literature, as has been demonstrated by the collective data in this review, as well as the importance of the religiosity and spiritual aspect for this group of population, which is parents and caregivers of atypical children, it is very important that more studies in the future to be conducted in this area. These are the references for the poster. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for sharing this wonderful knowledge. And now I will take the opportunity to call my fellow moderator, Brother Safwan. Welcome, Brother Safwan.
Okay. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you to Sis Halima. I will conduct this session in Bahasa Melayu. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Ahmad Safwan bin Yunus, wakil dari Universiti Sultan Azlan Shah, akan menggalas tanggungjawab sebagai moderator pada sesi kali ini, insya-Allah. Tanpa membuang masa, saya menjemput pembentang yang pertama, iaitu Nurul Wafiqah binti Haji Abdul Latif, Hajah Masuriyati binti Haji Yahya, yang akan membawa tajuk pendekatan dakwah dalam pemulihan kerohanian dan akhlak penghuni wanita, sorotan literatur. Dengan segala hormatnya,
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. InsyaAllah, hari ini saya akan mengongsikan kajian yang berkaitan dengan pendekatan dakwah yang telah dipelbagaikan dalam penyebarannya mengikut peredaran zaman dan semasa. Mengimbas kembali sejarah zaman para anbiya dahulu yang telah membawa risalah Islamiah demi untuk kebaikan dan kemaslahatan umat agar kembali kepada jalan yang diridhai Allah Ta'ala. Tanpa sejarah, kita tidak akan tahu asal usul dari mana dakwah itu sendiri. Dengan mendalami bahawa mesej dakwah yang telah disampaikan oleh para anbiya dulu memberi impak yang luar biasa demi untuk memperjuangkan risalah Islam itu sendiri, dakwah Islamlah itu sendiri ke seluruh pelosok dunia. Di samping menerapkan dalam seluruh aspek kehidupan. Saya Nurul Wafiqah binti Haji Abdul Latif, merupakan mahasiswi Universiti Islam Sultan Syarif Ali, UNISA dan dari negara Brunei Darussalam. Seterusnya saya akan mengongsikan kepada anda semua mengenai pendekatan dakwah yang boleh dipelbagaikan mengikut kemahiran oleh para pendakwa itu sendiri, sama ada secara kreatif maupun inovatif, tanpa meninggalkan kaedah konvensional. Dan juga melalui pendekatan dakwah yang mengikut peredaran zaman ini hendaklah bersih dari segala unsur yang bertentangan dengan akidah, syariah, akhlak Islamiah. Kita bebas dari segala perkara-perkara syubhat. Kemunculan teknologi pintar telah mengubah rutin kehidupan harian manusia dengan hanya satu sentuhan. Pertumbuhan digital dalam talian dan kandungan multimedia yang semakin padat membolehkan industri menghasilkan pendigitalan manuskrip. Dan ini dapat meluaskan penerbitan dakwah agar penyebarannya lebih cepat dan berkesan. Dakwah dalam berbagai bentuk telah menzahirkan imej Islam sebagai agama universal, tidak hanya tertumpu pada Timur Tengah sahaja.
Ini membuktikan bahawa dakwah Islamiah diterima dengan mudah dan cepat di seluruh dunia. Penyebaran dakwah yang dilakukan tanpa mengenal penat dan lelah juga atas daya usaha para pendakwah itu sendiri. Keperluan pada masa ini sangat banyak bergantung kepada pendigitalan dokumen, termasuklah kertas ilmiah maupun Al-Quran yang telah didigitalkan atas hasil usaha para agamawan dan juga para celik ICT. Dan pendigitalan ini juga adalah tanpa meninggalkan kaedah konvensional. Maka bertitik tolak daripada itu, konsep penggabungan transformasi teknologi digital ia akan menyumbang kepada satu jenis ciptaan dan koleksi yang dijadikan sebagai soft copy, iaitu salinan lembut, dan ini bermakna penggunaannya adalah secara paperless yang dapat diakses setiap masa. Tadi anda telah menyaksikan satu tayangan video sebagai gambaran umum berkaitan dengan tajuk yang dicadangkan ini, iaitu pendekatan dakwah teknologi digital dalam pemulihan kerohanian dan akhlak penghuni wanita. Jadi, objektif kajian ini adalah untuk menyorot beberapa kajian yang telah dipilih melalui metod yang telah dipilih untuk mengidentifikasikan ruang-ruang yang ada, demi untuk memperbaiki program pemulihan kerohanian berkenaan, dan juga demi memberi pendekatan yang berbeza dan pendekatan yang baru yang lebih efektif serta holistik, berpandukan kepada ajaran Al-Quran dan juga As-Sunnah. Jadi metodologi kajian ini adalah berbentuk kualitatif dengan 5 keutamaan dalam metodologi ini demi mencapai objektif berkenaan adalah melalui dokumentasi deskriptif, kajian bibliometrik, historis, komparatif dan juga observasi. Hasil yang telah ditemui melalui sorotan karya literatur yang telah diusahakan sendiri oleh para pengkaji berkaitan dengan kajian ini dapat disimpulkan dalam beberapa perkara. Okey. Antaranya adalah sokongan sosial sangat penting dalam memberi khidmat dakwah, khasnya buat para banduan ini dengan kaedah pendekatan yang kreatif kerana ianya sangat berkesan dalam mempertingkatkan kualiti kerohanian mereka di samping mempertingkatkan keimanan, ketakwaan serta menzahirkan, membina akhlak yang berketerampilan menurut acuan Al-Quran dan As-Sunnah. Mereka sangat-sangat perlu dibimbing, terutama sekali sebelum, semasa dan selepas menjalani pemulihan di institusi penjara tersebut. Kerana mereka sangat-sangat memerlukan bimbingan khasnya dari sekeliling mereka sendiri. Maka bimbingan sangat perlu buat golongan sasaran ini agar mereka lebih sama-sama memantapkan kefahaman serta penghayatan Islam itu sendiri. Dan dengan bimbingan ini, maka mereka merasa dihargai. Okay? Begitulah perkongsian kajian yang terdapat di dalam poster pendekatan dakwah teknologi digital ini, dan semoga ianya memberi manfaat buat anda semua dan juga buat diri saya sendiri. Sekian, itu saja daripada saya yang dikongsikan pada hari ini, dan sekiranya anda ada sebarang persoalan dan cadangan mengenainya, terus menghubungi saya melalui informasi yang dalam skrin. Wallahu a'lam bishawab. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih diucapkan kepada pembentang yang pertama. Jadi kita akan teruskan lagi ke pembentang yang kedua, iaitu Nurul Wafiqah binti Haji Abdul Latif, Hajah Masuryati binti Haji Yahya, yang akan membawa tajuk pendekatan dakwah teknologi digital dalam pemulihan kerohanian dan akhlak penghuni wanita. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, hari ini saya akan mengongsikan satu tajuk yang berkaitan dengan pendekatan dakwah teknologi digital dalam pemulihan kerohanian dan akhlak penghuni wanita. Poster kajian yang akan dibentangkan ini iaitu melalui metodologinya berasaskan daripada objektif-objektif khas buat kajian ini sebagai gambaran umum kepada anda semua. Secara umumnya, kajian ini memfokuskan kepada penghuni wanita kerana mereka merupakan saluran pendidikan generasi seterusnya. Kepentingan wanita itu sendiri pernah dikatakan oleh para ulama masyhur dahulu, iaitu al-mar'atu imadul bilad. Idza salahat salahatil bilad wa idza fasadat fasadatil bilad. Ini terbukti bahawa tidak kurang pentingnya juga peranan wanita itu sembanding dengan kaum lelaki. Negara Brunei Darussalam juga merencanakan program pemulihan di institusi penjara, khasnya dari segi fizikal, psikologikal, sosial, pendidikan dan spiritual khasnya. Dalam strategi yang bijaksana dan kreatif ini yang memberi kesan dan impak yang positif khasnya buat para penghuni adalah mendukung wawasan Negara Brunei Darussalam 2035. Salah satu wawasan 2035 iaitu mempunyai kualiti kehidupan rakyat yang tinggi agar tercapai menjadi sebuah negara yang terselamat di dunia. Itu adalah matlamat dan wawasan 2035 di Negara Brunei Darussalam sebagai pendekatan yang berbeza khasnya bagi para penyelaras program ataupun guru-guru agama yang diperbantukan. Pemulihan ini untuk menilai keberkesanan program pemulihan tersebut. Khasnya yang difokuskan di sini adalah pendidikan spiritual, kerana pendidikan spiritual ataupun ilmu Islam itu sendiri sangat perlu. Adapun objektif kajian ini adalah dikhususkan rokai pendekatan dakwah dari pemulihan rohani dan akhlak di institusi tersebut. Kerana seperti yang kita tahu bahawa perubahan akan bermula dengan cara pendidikan, diikuti dengan semangat kepada mereka dan menggunakan pendekatan Al-Quran demi untuk membina karakter dan akhlak syahsiah dan berketerampilan menurut acuan Al-Quran dan Sunnah. Objektif kedua akan menganalisis pendekatan dakwah melalui digital. Dan ketiga adalah untuk mengenalkan pendekatan dakwah melalui digital, iaitu yang akan diperkenalkan nanti adalah e-naskah rohanilah, satu pendigitalan dokumen yang menjadi bahan bacaan rasmi buat mereka. Rohani ini mengandungi semua zikir-zikir maksudkan daripada Al-Quran dan juga As-Sunnah. Seperti mana dalam firman Allah Subhanahu wa taala dalam Isra ayat 82, iaitu Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, wa nunazzilu minal Qur'ani ma huwa shifaa'un wa rahmatun lil mu'minin. Dan terjemahannya, dan kami menurunkan Al-Quran suatu penawar bagi penyakit rohani dan jasmani dan rahmat bagi orang-orang yang beriman. Memang bersandarkan daripada Al-Quran, iaitu dalam surah Al-Isra ini ayat 82, ia menjadi suntikan penawar khasnya buat mereka yang memerlukan bimbingan. Fokus kajian akan memfokuskan kepada model keagamaan seperti yang disebutkan tadi. Pemulihan dari segi spiritual sangat penting untuk dititik beratkan di dalam setiap program-program pemulihan yang terdapat di institusi penjara wanita di negara Darussalam ini melalui program yang diberi nama sebagai menghentikan tabiat jahat, iaitu program mendaat sebagai fokus kajian yang akan menganalisis pendekatan program tersebut. Cara penyelidikan kajian kes ini iaitu melalui permohonan kebenaran bertulis. Seterusnya persetujuan termaklum yang terpilih daripada informan dan responden, dan seterusnya menggunakan sistem kod bukan nama sebenar ini untuk memudahkan pengkaji untuk menganalisis, menjaga etika kerahsiaan di antara informan dan responden yang terpilih itu nanti. Untuk pendekatan yang akan digunakan demi untuk mencapai objektif kajian ini adalah ia akan menggunakan pendekatan gabungan. Dalam fasa pertama, metod pengumpulan datanya akan menggunakan kaedah kuantitatif. Seterusnya, melalui pemerhatian khusus khas buat program ini untuk mengetahui keberkesanan program tersebut. Dan akhir sekali melalui temu bual secara berstruktur dan soalan keterbukaan nanti buat para penyelaras program pemulihan serta guru agama yang diperbantu. Kedua adalah menggunakan soal selidik sahaja khasnya buat para penghuni untuk mengetahui penghayatan kerohanian mereka. Mungkin menjadi persoalan anda, bagaimanakah mengukur tahap kerohanian seseorang? Sangat difahami bahawa tahap kerohanian itu sangat abstrak dan ia sukar untuk diukur. Namun, satu kajian ini telah dilaksanakan oleh Cik Zarina dan et al. Yang mengatakan bahawa tahap kerohanian boleh diukur melalui instrumen kajian yang mereka sendiri bangunkan. Sebab itu, dalam kajian ini akan bersumberkan daripada instrumen skala psikospiritual Islam Zatib. Terbukti berkesan kerana responden mereka adalah di kalangan penagih dagang. Dan ia mempunyai kesahan dan kepercayaan yang tinggi. Apa yang paling menariknya dalam instrumen ini adalah kesemuaan item-item itu adalah berdasarkan disiplin ilmu tasawuf. Asal jangkaan kajian ini insya-Allah dengan izin Allah Ta'ala juga, naskah rohani akan menjadi satu rujukan rasmi khasnya buat program pemulihan kerohanian dan akhlak penghuni wanita itu sendiri, memberi kemudahan sebagai pendekatan yang berbeza dan sebagai inisiatif guru agama dan tenaga pengajar yang diperbantukan di institusi tersebut, insya-Allah. Ala bi dzikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Dengan mengingati Allah, hati akan menjadi tenang. Wa'alam bisawab. Sekian saja daripada saya. Nurul Wafika min Tajabdil Latif. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Tahniah dan terima kasih diucapkan kepada pembentang Kita doakan semoga kajian yang dibentangkan dapat memberi manfaat kepada umat ini. Baik, jadi saya serahkan majlis kepada moderator yang seterusnya iaitu Brother Tayyib Mustafa. I will give the session to Brother Tayyib Mustafa. Brother Tayyib.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I appreciate my beloved brother Safwan, for having a nice session. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. My name is Tayyib Mustafa, a postgraduate student from the Department of Islamic Knowledge. I am here to proceed with this session. And now we are going to call on our brother Muhammad Luqman Al-Hakim bin Muhammad Nur, Muhammad Fiham Muhammad Ali, with the postal title Learning Arabic Language via Augmented Reality, E-Out-Tasrif. Please, you are welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Luqman Al-Hakim bin Muhammad Nur, PhD candidate at the Department of Arabic Language and Literature, AHAS KRKHS. So today I would like to present my research work entitled Learning Arabic Language via Augmented Reality, AR Tasrif. Augmented Reality, or short form AR Tasrif, is one of the topic in Arabic language in Arabic morphology specialization. So today we go to abstract. So this study investigates about the issue of learning Arabic verb pattern, or we call tasrif al-a'mal, using augmented reality technology, as it seeks to help students in learning through the design of a program instructional model. So the objective are to know difficulties experienced by the advanced learner or student who major in Arabic language, and second, to design instructional module using the augmented reality technology, and to know also the impact or effectiveness student performance between male and female, and also high CGPA and low CGPA. This study followed 5 methodology. The first one is descriptive, analytical, design, development, and semi-experimental. So the researcher has followed ADDIE model. As we know that ADDIE model is instructional development model to design any model in teaching unit at the first stage of this analysis. So for the analysis, researcher has used questionnaire to know the need of student. Is they having difficulties in learning this topic, this Arabic language, and also their needs, their perception on augmented reality. So the results show that students, they have known about augmented reality, but they didn't experience any teaching using augmented reality. So this is the first time of their experience using augmented reality in learning Arabic language, AR Tasrif. So in the second part of ADDIE design, so the researcher has designed teaching unit or module using based on student needs, their perception. For example, like in the survey, we have student needs to choose the most difficult topic in the Arabic language, and also second, element of multimedia in order to design augmented reality application. And second, teacher asked them to choose the user interface or application. The third one, development. Okay, for the development phase, researcher has choose the expert to review, to validate if the application is suitable for them to use. The researcher has choose 2 experts in the field of Arabic language and also technology learning. And the fourth phase is implementation. So for the implementation, the researcher has choose students from IUM who are majoring in Arabic language, and the researcher has divided them into 2 groups. First group between male and female, second group between low CGPA and high CGPA. Why? Because the researcher want to investigate the effectiveness of the AR Tasrif of the software program, and also to know the significant differences between two groups. The fifth phase in the ED process is evaluation. The researcher has distributed the test question for students to answer, and also formative survey to know the usability, practicality, and third one, user experience. The result confirmed that there were significant value differences for the fourth question in the test between low CGPA and also high CGPA student after using this application. However, there were no significant value differences in the overall mark of the test between two comparing groups. Moreover, this study found that learning Arabic verb pattern through augmented reality technology has contributed positively to their study, and the researcher urged that this model to be used and implemented in different areas of teaching and learning Arabic as a second language. So here in picture explain the process of ED model. As I mentioned before, objective that I have also mentioned. Okay, so we can see here screenshot of the application AR touchscreen. This is a user interface, and this is camera, AR camera, and marker, and also visual information in 3D image. So the research has explained about how to use this application. So when students, they open the application and also download from Epicify or Google Play, they can open the AR camera here. So we can see in the interface, there are button, there are camera, AR instruction about us, exit, and then they can open the AR instruction for the instruction. So they have to follow the instruction how to use AR touchscreen application, and also about us, about the researcher, and the button of exit to exit of application, and how to use. So the student needs to, or user needs a camera, or and then when the camera pop up, they have to scan the AR camera. The student needs to scan the marker, and then the marker will pop up the virtual information in 3D image. So we go to value added. Okay, for this prototype of mobile application, it's a blend of Unity 3D. Why the researcher has choose Unity 3D as a platform to design? Why? Because Unity 3D is a famous website to design virtual reality or augmented reality or game, and the designer can design from the scratch. For example, designer want to tag the kalimat like fa'ala, 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 fa'ala. So they need to use Unity 3D because Unity 3D give freedom to design any material. So we know that we have ready-made augmented reality, but the ready-made, for example, like Aurasma or Assembler, other platform of augmented reality, this platform cannot give the freedom to the designer or researcher to design. But Unity can. AR is rarely used in the teaching Arabic morphology, but they show that AR helps students master vocabulary, word, and increase their motivation faster than when they are able to visualize the verb learn. And also, learning Arabic is now more interactive and less intimidating. Usefulness. This AR can be used as a pedagogical agent in teaching and learning. Can be used as a platform in online learning also for the student who major in Arabic language, and also promote Arabic knowledge through lifelong learning and student-centered learning. Source and encourage students to learn Arabic through an open source web-based platform toward technology 4.0, Internet of Things, and suitable for digital generation nowadays. So we go to result here. This is the result after student, after user. I have choose 70 sample of students who major in Arabic language, and this is the result of the usability, practicality, and also user experience. So the table show that the highest result, highest criteria, number 10. This program help better understanding of lesson. This is 4.68 out of 5. So this application of teaching module Arabic language, tasrif al-af'al or verb pattern, it can be used to various institutions, for example, like university, school, student, and parent also, who want to learn, who has no basic, for example. Why I say no basic? Because this application also provide the basic knowledge of tasrif al-af'al. Okay, recognition. Before this, the AR tasrif has been awarded gold medal, but the process, but during that time, researcher not upgrade user interface. So now, after see the feedback from the expert, so the researcher and designer has upgrade into next level. Here is the main researcher and also co-researcher. Those who want to see the demos video.
Okay, inshallah, I will show you how to use mobile application of Armenia known as AR Tasrif. Okay, you can see here, press here, this app. It will show user interface. There are button, AR camera for lesson, AR instruction about us, and a button of exit. So, for example, we go to instruction. Okay, there is an instruction. Point the camera to scan the images in the book. Okay, for this study, we also provide to the user book and also flash card. Okay, on the camera, when 3D model pop up, you can zoom in and out by using 2 fingers. Okay, so for this, we can say privilege or specialty for these apps. For example, we want to zoom out, zoom in to see clearly about the words, pattern, verb, for example. So we can use our finger to see clearly, to zoom in and out. Okay, we can use AR camera.
This button.
It will pop up.
تصريف الفعل على وزن يفعل. هو يفعل، هما يفعلان، هم يفعلون.
Okay, I think that's all. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Brother Muhammad Lukman, for giving us a very good, nice presentation. We really appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's call on the next presenter with the portal titled Arabiyatuna Board Game. This will be presented by Abdul Hadi bin Abdul Rahim Muhammad Hafizuddin bin Husn, Muhammad Anis bin Ghazlan, Muhammad Amnan bin Awang Ali. You are welcome. We appreciate our presenters for this wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on this same third session, we are moving to the Arabic presenters. And we are going to present to you Anis Azrina bint Anwar Ungulan Sana Kama with the postal title موقف الطلبة من تعلم المادة العربية لأغراض مهنية باستخدام انستغرام. فليتفضل.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. اسمي أنيس أزرينا بنت أنور وإن شاء الله في هذا اليوم سأقدم لكم البحث تحت عنوان موقف الطلبة من تعلم مادة العربية لأغراض مهنية باستخدام انستغرام. إذن هيا نبدأ بمشكلة البحث. إن استخدام المواد التعليمية الرقمية يسهم بشكل كبير في تحقيق الأهداف التربوية، وتختلف هذه المواد عن المواد التعليمية التقليدية في نواحي متعددة، ومن أهمها هذه المواد يجب أن تستند إلى تكنولوجيا المعلومات والاتصالات الحديثة، وهي أيضا يجب أن تتصف بخاصية التفاعلية والاشتراك الفعلي. وجدير بذكر أن الطلبة في هذا العصر يفضلون التعلم باستخدام المواد التعليمية الرقمية بدلا من المواد التعليمية التقليدية، ولعل هذا يرجع إلى خصائص المواد التعليمية الرقمية التي تجعل عملية التعليم والتعلم أكثر فعالية وحيوية. وللأسف الشديد ما زال مجال اللغة العربية لأغراض خاصة يفتقر إلى التجربة في توظيف المواد التعليمية الرقمية في مواكبة التطورات التكنولوجية. والدليل على ذلك هو ندرة المواد التعليمية تعنى للتعلم العربية لأغراض خاصة مع ضعف المعلمين في إعدادها وإنتاجها. وفي الحقيقة الطلبة بحاجة ملحة إلى تعلم هذا المقرر بطريقة جديدة ومتطورة. وعلى هذا الأساس نعتقد أن شبكات التواصل الاجتماعي هي أدوات تعليمية مناسبة للاستخدام في تصميم المواد التعليمية الرقمية نظرا إلى الخصائص المميزة فيها. فضلا عن ذلك أجمع الخبراء على أن استخدام هذه الشبكات يفيد عملية التعليم والتعلم خاصة في تعليم اللغات وتعلمها. وبناء على ذلك يقترح البحث تصميم المواد التعليمية الرقمية وتوظيفها في إحدى شبكات التواصل الاجتماعي وهي انستغرام، ثم معرفة موقف الطلبة من تعلم بهذه الطريقة. قبل أن نتطرق إلى منهج البحث هيا نتعرف قليلا عن انستغرام. أعتقد أن سمعتم عن انستغرام من قبل، صح؟ ولكن ما هو انستغرام؟ انستغرام هو تطبيق مجاني يتخصص بالتحرير ورفع صور ومقاطع الفيديو، ويسمح انستغرام المستخدمين للتواصل باستخدام الصور والفيديوهات. ويعد انستغرام أشهر شبكات التواصل الاجتماعي لدى الشباب، وهو يتميز بخصائص المشاركة مثل النشر ريلز انستغرام، قصة الانستغرام، والبث المباشر الانستغرام. إضافة إلى ذلك يتصف انستغرام بالخصائص التفاعلية مثل زر الإعجاب، التعليق، وحفظ المنشور. وأثبتت دراسات متعددة أن انستغرام يعد أداة تعليمية مفيدة ومبهرة. تحقيقا لهدف البحث تم تصميم مواد تعليمية رقمية تدور حول درس المقابلة الشخصية في مادة اللغة العربية لأغراض مهنية، وقد صممت هذه المواد وفق نموذج الدي المعدل بمراحلها الستة، وهي التحليل، التصميم، التدوير، تقويم المحاضرين، التنفيذ، وأخيرا تقويم الطلبة. وتم إضافة مرحلة تقويم المحاضرين بعد مرحلة التدوير بحذف الاستفادة من آرائهم ومقترحاتهم بشأن المواد التعليمية المطورة. وبعد الانتهاء من تصميم والتطوير والتعديل المواد التعليمية، تم تحميلها في حساب الدرس باسم المقابلة في تطبيق الإنستغرام. ثم جاء تنفيذ المواد التعليمية المطورة على الفئة المستهدفة، وفترة التنفيذ هي 6 أيام من 1 يونيو إلى 6 يونيو في هذه السنة. تشدد الإشارة إلى أن إنستغرام وسيلة تعليمية مبهرة، حيث يوفر فيه الخصائص المميزة التي تتلائم مع المواقف التعليمية الافتراضية. منها أولا خاصية مشاركة محتويات الدرس في شكل صور وفيديوهات. ثانيا خاصية تحديد طرق التفاعل، سواء كانت التفاعل مع المحتوى والأقران والمعلم. وأخيرا خاصية تصميم الأنشطة التعليمية الرقمية. ومن الأنشطة التعليمية المقدمة في هذه المواد التعليمية هي إجابة أسئلة التدريبات في قصة الإنستغرام، والمقابلة الشخصية السورية عبر البث المباشر الإنستغرام. تتكون عينة البحث من طلبة مقرر العربية لأغراض مهنية من جامعتين، وهما الجامعة الإسلامية العالمية ماليزية بعدد 30 طالبا، وجامعة العلوم الإسلامية الماليزية بعدد 30 طالبا، وبهذا يبلغ عددهم 60 طالبا. واتبع البحث المنهج الوصفي التحليلي في التعامل مع البيانات التي تم الحصول عليها من استبيان وزع على عينة البحث في نهاية تجربة التعلم باستخدام هذه المواد التعليمية الرقمية. وهذا الاستبيان يسعى إلى معرفة موقف الطلبة من تعلم مادة العربية لأغراض مهنية باستخدام إنستغرام. يتكون هذا الاستبيان من 7 محاور أساسية، وهي الخبرات التعليمية، محتويات الدرس، الأنشطة التعليمية، التفاعلية، مدى قبول الطلبة، فوائد نفسية وفوائد لغوية. بتحليل هذه البيانات في SPSS، سجل المتوسط الحسابي لكل محاور الاستبيان درجة قوية جدا، والدرجة الكلية لجميع هذه المحاور بشكل عام بلغ 4.34، وهي تمثل درجة قوية جدا في موقف الطلبة. ونستنتج من هذه النتائج أن الطلبة عندهم مواقف إيجابية فيما يتعلق بالتعلم عبر إنستغرام، حيث إنه يفيدهم في جوانب متعددة. لعل هذا يرجع إلى مكان إنستغرام في حياة الطلبة، حيث إنه تطبيق المحبب والأكثر استخداما لديهم، بالإضافة إلى مميزاته المتنوعة التي تجعله وسيلة تعليمية فعالة. والتعلم عبر إنستغرام يعد طرق التعلم الجديدة، حيث إنه يؤدي إلى خلق بيئة تعليمية أكثر حيوية وفعالية. خلاصة القول، إنستغرام وسيلة تعليمية جديدة ومبهرة، واستخدامه كالمواد التعليمية الرقمية يؤثر إيجابيا على الطلبة من خلال توفير الخبرات التعليمية الجديدة، رفع دوافعهم للتعلم، وأخيرا تعزيز مهاراتهم اللغوية. ونرجو أن تكون هذه المحاولة من المحاولات الرائعة والممتعة في هذا الموضوع، وكذلك في مجال تعليم اللغة العربية لأغراض خاصة وتعلمها باستخدام شبكة التواصل الاجتماعي. بناء على النتائج التي توصل إليه البحث، فإنه يقدم بعض التوصيات للقائمين على برنامج تعليم اللغة العربية لأغراض خاصة، ومن أهمها الاهتمام بتصميم المواد التعليمية الرقمية وإنتاجها، توفير البرامج التعليمية للمعلمين في كيفية توظيف إنستغرام وشبكة التواصل الاجتماعي في التعليم والتعلم، وأخيرا تشجيع الطلبة على الاستفادة من إنستغرام وشبكات التواصل الاجتماعي الأخرى في تعلم العربية سواء أكان داخل الفصل وخارجه. وأكتفي بهذا القدر. شكرا على حسن استماعكم وانتباهكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكرا لأختنا الفاضلة على هذا العرض الطيب، فجزاها الله خير الجزاء. نعم. Permit me to invite our last presenter with the poster title الخصائص الإسلامية في شخصيات المرأة الملايوية في حكايات الملايوية القديمة، دراسة أدبية تحليلية، من الأخت نديها عبد الرحيم. فليتفضلي.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. As'adallahu ayyamakum wa awqatakum bi kulli khairin wa sa'adin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ila jumhurul kiram. Ma'akum al-an Nadia binti Abdul Rahim min Jami'ah Islamiyah al-Alamiyah بماليزيا UM. سأتكلم عن الورقة العلمية تحت الموضوع الخصائص الإسلامية في شخصية المرأة الملايوية في حكاية الملايوية القديمة، دراسة أدبية تحليلية. وإن شاء الله في هذا اليوم سأركز إلى 4 نقاط. أولا مشكلة البحث، وثم منهج البحث، وأهداف البحث، وأخيرا نتائج البحث. وأن الموضوع عن نصوص الملايوية القديمة متعمقة ومثيرة للاهتمام، ولكن هناك نقص الأبحاث في هذا الموضوع المكتوب باللغة العربية بجانب الاهتمام بالتاريخ الملايوي. وثانيا عدم تمسكي بالدين والالتزام بثقافة الملايوية يؤدي إلى نشوء المشاكل اجتماعية كثيرة بين النساء في هذا العصر. ثالثا أن حكاية الملايوية القديمة محملة ومنسية نصوصه غير معروفة للأجيال الجديدة. وبالنسبة إلى منهج البحث، قد اعتمدت إلى المنهج التحليلي في الأدب، بمعنى تحليل الأثر الأدبي خصوصا من حكاية الملايوية القديمة، وقمت بالملاحظات واستنتاج البيانيات، أي استنتاج الخصائص الإسلامية في شخصية المرأة من الكتب والمراجع والمصادر المرتبطة بهذا الموضوع. ويتجلى أهداف البحث لتقدم شرحان للتاريخ والخلفية حكاية الملايوية القديمة. وثانيا يركز إلى الخصائص الإسلامية الموجودة في شخصية المرأة الملايوية من حكاية القديمة. وأخيرا لترويج النصوص الأدبية القديمة خصوصا في حكاية الملايوية كالعلوم والدراسة مثيرة للاهتمام ومفيدة في الحياة. للتحقيق على الحرف الأول، تشير الباحثة إلى الكتب المتعلقة باللغة الملايوية وقراءتها لجمع المعلومات العامة حول هذا الموضوع، مثلا ما يتعلق بالأدب الملايو ومفهوم حكاية. أيها المستمعون الكرام، لمعلوماتكم أن الحكاية هي من نثر الذي يروي قصص الملحمية عن الأبطال، وقصص السحرية وخارقة العادات، وقصص التكتيكية والسيرة الذاتية القدماء. وهناك الفرق بين حكاية إسلامية وحكاية الملايوية. أن الحكاية الملايوية هي مكتوبة في الأرقام الملايو من قبل المؤلف ملايو المعروف، مثل في الحكاية غانجا مرا من حاجي بوتيه بن شيخ أبو باسير من pulau Pinang، ومثل في الحكاية شمس الأنوار مؤلفتها هي راجع عن شاه من رياض. وتتصف الحكاية الملايو القديمة بعناصر جمال في أسلوب اللغة وجمال المناظر والطبيعة، ويحكي أيضا عن جمال الوجه للشخصية. وحقيقة توجد كثير من نصوص الأدبية الملايوية القديمة في العالم، ولا تزال هناك 15,000 مخطوطا الآن، منها حكاية كنجمرة من الحاج بوتي من شيخ أبو بصير كما قلت قبل قليل، وحكاية شمس الأنوار من راجا عائشة، وثم حكاية عبد الله من قرية ملاكا سنغافورة، وحكاية ميرو محاوانسا من قدا أو معروف أيضا بتاريخ قدا، وثم حكاية أشيه وحكاية معلم دمام، وتوجد أيضا حكاية ليلى مجنون. ولتحقيق حرف الثاني أي في اكتشاف القصائص الإسلامية الموجودة في شخصية المرأة الملايوية من حكاية القديمة، فتقوم الباحثة بالملاحظات النصوص الملايوية من 5 الحكايات المقترح، منها شعر سيتي زبيدة، وثانيا حكاية هانتوا، وثم تحفة النفيس، وحكاية ملوك باساي، وسلالة السلاطين. أولا شعر سيتي زبيدة. شعر سيتي زبيدة perang Cina تعود إلى عام 1840 التي تحكي عن حياة سيتي زبيدة للقيام واجباتها كالأم وزوجة. وحقيقة أن هذا شعر رائع جدا. ووجدت ثلاثة القصائص إسلامية من هذا الشعر، منها قاسية ولاء المرأة إلى زوجها عندما بذلت سيتي زبيدة كل جهدها لإنقاذ زوجها السلطان زين العابدين من العمى. وتشير أيضا قاسية الصبر والقوة المرأة عندما أنجبت سيتي زبيدة طفلها في الغابة نفسها في طريقه إلى زوجها. وأخيرا قاسية دينية في شخصية سيتي زبيدة لأنها تحب العبادة وتعلم القرآن في قريتها. وثم في حكاية هانتوا توجد قاسية متكررة بين شعر سيتي زبيدة وهذه حكاية، وهي قاسية ولاء المرأة إلى زوجها. وبعدين تحفة النفيس. أن التحفة النفيس هو عمل من أدب الملايو الذي كتبه راجا علي في كتاب هجوية، وتروي هذه الحكاية عن تاريخ مملكة رياو لينغا التي سيطر على 3 نقاط في أرقام الملايو، وهي Pahang, Selangor وجهور. ويحكي هذا الناس عن جريمة زنا. قد غضب الملك في تلك اليوم إلى قادمته لأن تلك المرأة اتهمت بالزنا، حتى أمر جنده لتنفيذ عقوبة الإعدام إليها. من هذا الناس يمكن أن نرى بأن لابد علينا أن نحافظ على كرامتنا وجودتنا بالنفس. وبعدين حكاية ملوك باساي، أن هذه الحكاية تمتد بتأثير الإسلامي من باريس كما كان يعرف بأسماء رؤساء المسلمين إلى جانب الكاتب هو المسلم. في النسل الأول قد ظهر قاسية طاعة المرأة لزوجها وتعظيم حقه، كما فعلت أميرة وهي رهبت زوجها من الصيد في أمام القصر وتقديم خدمة جيدة لزوجها. وجدت أيضا قاسية المرأة مستقلة، وتثبت هذه القاسية من الناس الثاني بأن المرأة ليست ضعيفة، وهي قادرة للعمل في مساعدة عائلتها. وقدرة المرأة ليس محدودة في المنزل فحسب، بل هي قادرة للإتقان في أي مجال. كما في الناس الثاني أصبحت دار زليكا كمساعدة الملك ولعبت دورا هاما في شؤون القصر. وأخيرا سلالة السلاطين تعني وراثة أو سلسلة الملوك وتتضمن فيها من الأحكام الملايو وقوانين وثقافة والعادات والعلاقات الدبلوماسية. ومن هذا الناس قد ظهر قضية قيادة المرأة بالنظر إلى مملكة بنتين تحت سيطرة المرأة وهي وان سري بني. في رأيي لكل المؤسسة تحتاج إلى طاقة والفكرة من المرأة بسبب طبيعتها الدقة. وتجد القصائص الإسلامية المتعددة في شخص المرأة كزوجة والأم والعاملة من حكاية المملكة القديمة، ومنها شعر سيدي زبيدة تضمن قصيدة في شخص الزوجة والأم مثل القصيدة ولا التي أظهرتها سيدي زبيدة لزوجها، وثم الصبر والقوى المرأة، وقد ظهرت أيضا قصيدة دينية. وثم في الحكاية هانتوا قد ظهر قصيدة الولاء المرأة لزوجها، وثم تفات النفيس فيها قصيدة نقاء المرأة وقصيدة حب التعاطف الأم، وثم حكاية ملك باساي بقصيدة المرأة المستقلة وقصيدة وجوب طاعة المرأة لزوجها وتعظيم حقه. وأخيرا سلالة السلاطين فيها قصيدة خيرة المرأة. وخلاصة القول لكل النصوص الأدبية الملايوية القديمة تتضمن على قيمة عالية وغالية، وفيها العبرة والحكمة الجيدة، لأن النصوص الأدبية الملايوية القديمة تتأثر بعناصر والمفاهيم الإسلامية وثقافة الملايوية. وشكرا على حسن استماعكم وانتباهكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكرا لأختي الفاضلة على هذا العرض الطيب، فشكر الله لك. وفي الختام نقدم خالص الشكر والامتنان إلى كل المشاركين من البداية إلى آخر هذه، وكذلك نقدم بخالص الشكر إلى المنظمين هذا البرنامج الصحيح والمفيد لجميع طلبة الدراسات العليا وخارجها داخلا وخارجها في ماليزيا. وكذلك الآن ننتقل إلى الخطوة التالية، وهو خطوة الختام لهذا البرنامج. We are going to move, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to the last presentation or last section, which is going to be lead and forwarded to Sister Siti Hajar. We'll welcome Siti Hajar to continue with our session. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Tayyib. First and foremost, my name is Siti Hajar binti Sharifuddin, a master student from University Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia, from Kuliah Islamic Review Knowledge and Human Sciences. Inshallah, I'll be hosting for the closing ceremony for today's colloquium. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Professor Dr. Ida Madiha Abdul Ghani Azmi, Dean Center for Postgraduate Studies, International Islamic University Malaysia. Dr. Abu Hafiz Salahuddin, Department of Quran and Sunnah Studies, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kuliah of Islamic Review Knowledge and Human Sciences, IIUM. Associate Professor Dr. Hasina Ibrahim, Deputy Dean, Postgraduate and Responsible Research, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kuliah of Islamic Review Knowledge and Human Sciences, IIUM. Deputy Deans, Deputy Director, Head of Departments, Head of Research, Head of International and Global Networking, Professors, Associate Professors, Doctors, Academic Members, and last but not least, our graduates, the young researchers and scholars in the making. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're able to convene this afternoon to witness the closing ceremony of the second International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition, jointly organized by Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, International Islamic University Malaysia, and University of Sultan Azlan Shah in collaboration with the Asian Islamic Universities Association. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for your participation in this colloquium. We hope that you have benefited a lot from the presentation made by all the participants, inshallah. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Hasina Ibrahim, Deputy Dean, Postgraduate and Responsible Research, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, IIUM, to give some reflection on the second International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you very much, Sister Siti Haja, for inviting me to say a few words in conjunction with the closing of the second colloquium this year. First of all, before I carry on with my few words, I would like to say thank you very much to Dr. Muhammad Arif, who is the program director, and also Dr. Muhammad Shafiq, Dr. Muhammad Arif from IIUM and Dr. Muhammad Shafiq from USAS, and the teams under their leaderships from IIUM and from USAS, and also to all the moderators, MCs, committees, our judges, not to forget our judges who have been taking the time to look into the posters, the abstracts submitted. Secondly, I would like also to say thank you to the generous contributions of CPS, Center Postgraduate Study, Professor Dr. Ida Madiha and the team, and also the generous contribution of USAS since last year. So this year, this is the second time we are collaborating for the organization of this International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition. We hope that this will continue in the future, this type of collaboration, and we hope to get more participations from, especially from AIUA. So my task now is to give very brief response to the titles presented, titles submitted for the International Colloquium this year. Alhamdulillah, I am very blessed to see that our postgraduate students, our young graduate researchers are interested in presenting their ideas and sharing their findings, research ideas and findings in the colloquium. Even though this year the turnout or the submitted abstracts were lesser than last year colloquium, but I can see that we have very interesting titles in the presentation. This year we have received, let me check the final statistic given to me. We have received 42 registered participants, 39 abstracts, and however, from the 39 abstract, only 32 of them submitted video presentation. So we have 26 participants from IIUM, 8 participants from USAS, 3 participants from USIM, 2 from UITM, 1 from QUIPS, and 2 from UNIZA. So inshallah, we hope that next year we will get more participants because this colloquium is fully sponsored by USAS and by IUM. In comparison to other colloquiums and conferences, you may have to pay more to present your research ideas. And the prizes allocated for the winners are also good amount, very handsome amount to be given to the winners for the 3 categories: English, Arabic, and Malay. And inshallah, we hope also this year we can give to everybody who have participated in the conference. So inshallah, the consolation prize will also go to everyone participated in the poster presentation competition, inshallah. Yeah. So now this colloquium is very important to provide a platform for our postgraduate students to learn the arts, the techniques of presenting their research ideas and research findings. Yeah? And I think that others who may have not participated as presenters, they should also participate in this research to see how their seniors, how their friends presented their ideas and making their research significant. Because whenever you are presenting your research, you have to make it in such a way that your research has significant ideas, your research has significant data, and your research has significant findings. So at the same time, it trains you on how to deliberate and to deliver your research in such a way that you can convince people on the quality, on the importance of your research. And this year, Alhamdulillah, the title of our research, our colloquium, mashallah, is very, I think, very timely. And this morning we were very moved and inspired by the keynote address made by the Dean of Islamic Studies of USAS, Dr. Zulfahmi. Yeah. So the theme this year is, where is it? Islamic heritage and responsible research. Yeah, this is the theme, and alhamdulillah, this morning we have had very insightful presentations from Dr. Zulfahmi. Now, I want to single out some of the interesting titles. Yeah, it doesn't mean that others are not interesting. Of course, it will take me hours to highlight all the titles, but I can extract some of the titles that implies what we aspire for the themes of conference this year. Yeah? So for example, the theme that we have, the title that has been presented just now, Al-Khasa'is al-Islamiyah fi Shakhsiyatil Mar'ah al-Malayuwiyah fi Hikayatil Malayuwiyah al-Qadimah Dirasah Adabiyah Tahliliyah. So this is one of the example of heritage study, and how you make this heritage study relevant to the contemporary needs. So this is what responsible research is all about. Yeah? And then we have also, for example, etika kecerdasan buatan dalam industri perubatan menurut kerangka maqasidus syariah. So we have maqasidus syariah, part and parcel of the heritage study, and etika kecerdasan buatan as part and parcel of the responsible research. Another title is penerokaan kaedah fiqh dalam perbahasan fiqh darah haid. Kajian terhadap buku Al-Ibana wa Al-Ifadah fi Ahkam Al-Haid wa Al-Nifas wal-Istifadah ala mazhab Al-Imamu Al-Syafi'i. So this is also very relevant because we know that it touches upon the day-to-day or the daily problems of women these days. Yeah? So we benefit from the classical work and how this classical work help us to resolve today's problem. Yeah? And then another title is application of Maqasidus Syariah in the utilization of social funds. Case study at the Bait Al-Quran Gontor Social Fund Institution. So the Maqasidus Syariah the part of the heritage studies, and how the fund that we collect today can be used in line with the Maqasid al-Sharia. The other title is the importance of Alhambra. So this reminds me of what Dr. Zul mentioned this morning about the house of Maharaja Lela, the surau, and what else? The buildings, the buildings, the relics. Yeah? So this title, for example, the importance of Alhambra as a fortress and palaces during Nasrid dynasty, the case of the Al-Khazaba, the palace Comaris, and the palace of the lions. If it is possible, perhaps in future, the presenter could think about how do you make these findings of yours significance. I hope right after you have finished writing this research, you will continue this research further, insyaAllah. And then pemikiran akidah Syekh Hasan Ayub dalam buku Tasbit Al-Aqaid Al-Islamiyah menurut kerangka aliran Imam Sanusi dalam mazhab Ahli Sunnah wal Jamaah. So how does this heritage studies benefit Muslims of today in terms of how do we understand our akidah, how do we translate that in our belief system of today. That would be good. Yeah? The responsible research dimension of it will be make this research very relevant to the current needs. Yeah? And then we have tadlil and takfir sesama Muslim, satu penilaian. I hope the researcher will not only stop at the level of assessment or penilaian or evaluation, but also will go further on how this assessment and evaluation will be able to help us to resolve the problems of today, the disagreement, the disputes that Muslims are facing today. So how do we use this standard of evaluation, for example, to critically look at how Muslim manage conflicts, yeah, and how Muslim manage to resolve the conflicts, the intra conflicts that they are facing today. All right. So Alhamdulillah, these are among the titles that I reckon as very much addressing the title of this the theme of the international colloquium this year. Alhamdulillah. Okay. And then another issue that I would like to highlight here is the number of participations. Yeah, we hope that in future we will be able to invite more participants from the Asian Islamic University Association, yeah, from all the Islamic universities in Asia to participate in this program. We hope that by having the AIUA in the colloquium, we will be able to do more good research, collaborations, sharings of experts, students' mobility, what else? Perhaps postdoctoral opportunities for our graduate researchers and funding, yeah, because we may also share the funds from one university with another university. This is what IIUM and USAS is trying to work out, inshallah. So we can realize some of the research that needs experts from different universities. Yeah? So if we are able to do this, we can empower and strengthen the Islamic universities in this part of region. So the aspiration for having this collaboration between IIUM and USAS is actually very far-reaching. Yeah, we start very small with our postgraduate colloquium because we know these are our promising scholars. These are our promising researchers, and we are training them to share their research, to share their ideas and findings, and we hope that this will inspire them to further explore in this academic world. Hopefully, when they graduate, they will fit in all the universities under AIUA, IIUM, and USAS, and they will be able to to bring the universities in this region further. So we need to have this collaboration, because especially in the midst of this ranking of university, where sometimes we feel that Islamic studies do not fit in. So we need to have an association whereby Islamic studies faculties and universities will be able to develop our own standard, our own benchmark. So we are capable of introducing our own standard. So we are no longer rated by others' standard, but we put the standard, and others have to have to respect for and have to recognize. I think this is important. Recognize our standard, but it is very important that we know what we want to do, that we know what type of scholars we want to develop, we know what type of research that we want, and we develop our own narrative in this region, narrative in Islamic studies, because there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of potentials for our researchers, our young researchers, and we have our own funding to fund our own research. And when we fund our own research, we know that this research is the research that is needed by our own communities, by our own people, by our own country. All right. So inshallah, I pray that the young researchers, young graduates who have participated in our colloquium this year and last year, the very best. We hope to see you in the faculties, in the universities, as academics, inshallah, teaching and nurturing our young people, young graduates, inshallah. And together, we hope that Islamic studies faculties, Islamic universities in this region will be able to map themselves against the global imposition of this world ranking, inshallah. Yeah. So I think that's about it for my very not so brave speeches. I would like to thank everybody for joining us this year, and please spread the information about this colloquium to your friends, to your juniors, to your lecturers, to your academic administrators at the university, because we have very far-reaching inspiration about this colloquium. I believe this is the first type colloquium on Islamic studies, that have ever been organized in this region. And inshallah, IIUM and USAS is committed to have this colloquium, inshallah, in the future. Thank you very much again to everyone involved, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Hasina Ibrahim, for her reflection on the colloquium. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Abu Hafiz Salahuddin from the Department of Quran and Sunnah Studies, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences, IIUM, to deliver his remark on behalf of the judges. Please welcome.
All right. Sorry. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah amma ba'd. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation for me to speak in this colloquium on behalf of judges for Judge Remark. And with us this morning, Associate Professor Dr. Haslina, Deputy Dean of AHAS KHS. And I think I will make it short for this remark and perhaps some conclusion about the participants. For our second International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition, a total of 17 submissions in English and 9 submissions each in Arabic and Malay were accepted, which accumulated as 35 submissions. And we can see the topics ranging from theoretical to applied studies and the development of instrument and modules under the broad theme of Islamic heritage and contemporary responsible research. I think Dr. Haslina has mentioned just now about some selected theme and topics which were presented and submitted to us in this colloquium. And participants from local and international postgraduate students based not only in Malaysia, but also in other countries in the region. We received from Brunei, from Indonesia, and etc. And we believe that this is the platform to inform others about research currently undertaken by postgraduate students, as mentioned by our Deputy Dean just now, that we need to make our effort by ourselves to promote our research and our students, because of perhaps lack of platforms for Islamic studies to shine and market our research. So we cannot just sit down and waiting for the chances and opportunities, but we need to do something, and this is what we call it as our effort to reach that opportunity and fulfill the vacuum for Islamic studies. And we try our best, inshallah, by organizing this colloquium in providing more and perhaps better platform for our students if there is no sufficient platforms for them to join or to participate with. All right. And in general, evaluation for each submission conducted by 2 different judges independently, and the average is taken as the final score. And I would like to register my my appreciation to the judges from both USAS and IUM, and as well as I would like to thank all the participants. We are happy for the presentation, even though some of the submission were not complete, but we can see the effort has been given by all the participants in presenting a better idea, a better presentation for us to look into. And this I would like also to thank the program director of Colloquium, Dr. Ahmad Arif, for giving us this opportunity and managing this program very well. And I hope this is some kind of training for our students to prepare themselves as a better scholars and researchers. Meanwhile, they are doing their masters and as well as PhD, and after they completed their studies. I think that's all from me. Thank you, everyone, and I hope we can continue this colloquium annually, so we can have a very good exposure, not only for the students, but as well as for us as a judge and instructor for both University, USAS, and IUM. Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abu Hafiz Salahuddin, for the comprehensive remark from the judges. Inshallah, now we will take a very short break and we'll continue at 12, inshallah.
اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان شفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم اللهم صل
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inshallah, I will continue for the last session for today's colloquium. With that, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Ida Madiha Abdul Ghani Azmi, Dean, Center of Postgraduate Studies, International Islamic University Malaysia, to deliver her closing speech. Please welcome. Please welcome, Prof. Please welcome Prof. Ida Madiha Abdul Ghani Azmi to deliver her closing speech.
Has the technical team unmute Prof. Ida? Maybe Prof. Ida is muted.
Oh, so sorry. When did you invite me? Where was that? Can you hear me?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
I see.
Okay. Huh? Can you say something again?
Yes, Prof. Can you hear?
Yes. Now I can hear you. I'm so sorry. I was waiting for you to call me. I come here early because the closing remark was supposed to be 12 o'clock. So I was waiting for you to invite me. Anyway, thank you for the invitation. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, summa alhamdulillah, summa alhamdulillah. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate you all for a successful organization of the International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition. This is the second such program that you have organized. This is a follow-up to the program that you had last year. And this program is, of course, co-organized together with University Sultan Azlan Shah and Asian Islamic Universities Association. I just have a few points that I want to share with you. Lately, there were a lot of discourse or discussion in the public as to why we are producing so many PhD students. There seems to be a misconception among the public as to the value of a PhD thesis. Now, PhD degree used to be considered as the pinnacle of scholarship, which means that not everybody can reach PhD level and not everybody will be able to graduate with a PhD. But as you note now, as well since you all are PhD candidates, PhD is not necessarily the equivalent of the peak of academic reward. It's just the beginning of your research journey. And as the reason why some people, even indulge into second PhD, third PhD, and fourth PhD, and you're wondering why you want to have so many PhDs. That's because you end up, embarking on a different research journey, which qualifies a new PhD. And the reason why people are questioning this is because they were wondering the value of your PhD, not only your PhD research, but also PhD degrees, okay? Particularly your PhD research. The reason being is that the common perception and also expectation by the public is that your PhD area or your PhD thesis must represent something which is new in the domain of knowledge and theory. There must be something exceptional that you have contributed in your area for you to earn that PhD. And this thing which is called newness is essentially the core dispute as to whether you are worthy to get your PhD degree or not. But again, that newness itself is also very subjective. Now, all of you know that PhD is just a training to do academic research, right? Where you are trained the rigor and the nitty-gritty of academic research. The need to come up with arguments based on authorities or evidence, and it has to be supported by facts. It's not as like you coming out with a statement with no support at all. That's just popular writing. This is academic research. Just like the expression, I love to use the Kelantanese expression, gapo nama rima, right? We like to use that for something which is puzzling us. We say, gapo nama rima, right? And the answer is, of course, harimau, right? Essentially, they're trying to figure out, what is this that we called a PhD and what is the value of a PhD research? Now, if I were to relate that to the theme of this conference, which is Islamic heritage and contemporary responsible research, right? Islamic heritage and contemporary responsible research. As you know now, technological changes have moved a lot of domains. The domain of devices, processes, as well as the domain of theory itself. For example, my recent research interest is artificial intelligence. There are a lot of litigation around the world trying to push the boundary of legal norm, looking at as to whether this artificial intelligence can be seen as a individual with separate legal personality, right? They want to push the boundary. They want artificial intelligence to be considered as equivalent to an individual, although many judges and courts around the world basically says that you cannot equate artificial intelligence with an individual, which reminds me of my Form 6 mantik, because the first definition that we learn with regards to insan is al-insan huwal hayawanun natik, right? So what distinguishes a human from an animal is basically his ability to express himself. And of course, the ability to express yourself is a reflection of your cognitive level, your intellectual level, and your conscience level, your ability to comprehend knowledge, and of course, your ability to understand and appreciate things. Now, of course, the distinction between us and human is and animal is more than that. Now, they are saying that AI, futuristic AI, will be able to have feeling, sentient, remorse, and therefore it should be equated by a human being, equated to an individual human being. Now, of course, this is a legal norm which is very hard to be accepted by many legal scholars now, because when we talk about artificial intelligence, even though they are capable to do a lot of processes and even into the context of creating things, but it's still with human intervention. Now, why am I talking about this? And having to come back to the novelty, the newness, and Islamic heritage. Now, whether we like it or not, the world will change, right? There'll be new disruptive technologies, name it fintech, Bitcoin, stem cell, GMOs, artificial intelligence, data analytics, but eventually we will have to find guidance from Islamic heritage. And whether you like it or not, it's not only in the Muslim world that you want to find guidance from Islamic heritage, but it's also in European world that they want to get guidance from ethics and morality. And you find that new legal norms which are developed at European level, looking at AI, for example, they want to incorporate human values, acceptable human values, into the framework of regulating artificial intelligence. So this is where your research will come in, right? I would want Islamic heritage to be the guiding principles for all researchers that not only deal with matters of theory, but also matters of application, and not only deal with all issues, which is already accepted, but also new issues. We have to make ourselves at the forefront of discussion, at the epicenter, maybe not at the forefront. I would love for us to be at the forefront, but also at the epicenter of discussion, not just at the periphery, not just at the edge. And the reason why I'm saying this is because eventually you have to look at religion and religious values to provide the parameters of all this discussion. And for this to happen, it is important for us to have a continuous engagement with modern scholarship. Otherwise, we will not be able to engage with the discussion properly. As for the theme, Islamic Heritage and Contemporary Responsible Research, this is very much connected to the discourse that is going on in the world today, right? Very much connected. Everybody's talking how, and our research should contribute to the development of the humanity, contribute to the development of theory and the discourse in whatever areas, right? And whatever research that you're doing on for your PhD should not be just repeating what other previous scholars have done, but also provide a new perspective, a new angle, and if possible, develop new theory on top of it. So it's good for you to look at the end game of your PhD research, right? Not only to get a PhD degree, but also to see how your research can contribute to this discourse within your domain, but also how it can contribute to the community and to the society at large. With that, I end again with thanking the committee member for organizing this International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition, and I look forward to the declaration of the winners. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Ida Madiha, for your enlightening speech. Once again, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Ida Madiha Abdul Ghani Azmi to announce the winner of the 3 categories, Bahasa Melayu, English, and Arabic. Please welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much. So for the winners of the research poster competition, at number 3 is Arabiatuna board game, prepared by Abdul Hadi bin Abdul Rahim, Muhammad Hafizuddin bin Hussein, Muhammad Hanis bin Roslan, and Muhammad Amnan bin Awang Ali. Can you spotlight who is the winner? I can't see. She's not here? Or he's not here? Or the team? All the team are not here? This is so remote, right? There's no human in this at all. I can't even see who are the winners. All right. All right, Abdul Hadi, you're here. I can't see you on the screen. Can you switch on your computer, your camera? No? I can't open my camera. Oh, that's, never mind. Anyway, congratulations. All right. At number 2, application of Maqasid Ash-Shari'ah in the utilization of social funds. Case study at the Baitul Quran Gontor Social Fund Institution. A work done by Ahmad Muqarrabin. Congratulations. Ahmad Muqarrabin, can I see you on the screen? No camera as well? No? Anyway, number 1, exploring Abu Hamid Abu Sulaiman's views on the contemporary challenges towards higher education in Muslim countries. A work done by Nur Irdina Hakima Nur Azali. Where's Nur Irdina? Not here as well. Everything's so remote. All right. Now let's move to the winners of the research poster competition in Bahasa Malaysia. At number 3 is Pemikiran Akidah Syekh Hasan Ayub dalam buku Tafsir Al-Aqaid Al-Islamiyah menurut kerangka aliran Imam Sanusi dalam mazhab Ahli Sunnah wal Jamaah. Ahmad Lukman Zulkifli. Not here as well. I can't see anybody. All right. At number 2, the winner is Pendekatan Dakwah Teknologi Digital dalam Pemulihan Kerohanian dan Akhlak Penghuni Wanita. Wow, nice topic. Nurul Wafiqah binti Haji Abdullah, Hajjah Masuriyati binti Haji Yahya. Okay. Round of applause, right, for the second winner. And of course, number 1 is Kaedah-Kaedah Pelupusan Mushaf Al-Quran, 1 analisis, Muhammad Nasrul Azim Roslan. Congratulations to all the winners for the Bahasa Malaysia Research Poster Competition. Let's move to the 3rd category, winners of the research poster competition in Arabic. At the 3rd place, Athar Al-Hajar Al-Manzili, As-Sihah Al-Nafsiyah fi Malaysia fi Zillil Jaihah Corona, Dirasah Maqasidiyah, Fatima Alde Sirvi. Congratulations. Unfortunately, I can't see any of the winners. At second,
They are shy.
where? They are shy. Oh, come on.
They are shy. They don't switch on their camera.
Or are you human or are you computer? Non-human. Okay. At second place, Mawqif At-Talabah min Ta'allum Ma'adah Al-Arabiyyah li'aghrad minhaniyah bil istiqdam Instagram. Anis Azrina binti Anwar and Nong Laksana Kamar. Congratulations. And The first winner is أحكم التحيل على الوصاية المعاصرة في إدارة الطريقة that's better. في إدارة الطريقة قضاء. Right? قضاء. Muiz bin Abdullah, Dr. Abdul Bari Awang, and Dr. Muhammad Sabri. Congratulations. So the host didn't allow you to switch on your camera, is it? Or maybe the host should allow you, because we want to spotlight the winners, if possible. All right. I think I've done my job. Congratulations to all of you. I'm sure you've done quite a lot of work, preparing those poster competition. Congratulations. As if I may connect to the value of your PhD research. And this is an additional way of you adding additional value to yourself, that you improve yourself in the course of doing the PhD. And communicating message and information is very important in doing your PhD. And this is one way of communicating your message to the community and to others of your research areas. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Ida Madiha. And once again, congratulations to all the winners. Now I invite Dr. Saeed Abdullah Husairi to recite the dua.
Nenek nunggu di situ kan? Cuba cek WA. Nenek ada internet itu.
Tak jadi kursi. Tak jadi kursi. Tak jadi kursi. Okay, where is it? Okay, just recite. Your camera is there. Just recite. Okay? Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has given us this opportunity to begin our colloquium yesterday, and we were able to end the colloquium today successfully. We pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all our efforts to accept this as an act of ibadah, to increase our knowledge, to increase our wisdom, to increase us in sound health. Allahumma ahsin aqibatana fil umuri kulliha wajirina min khizyi dunya wa fitnatil akhirati kulliha. Allahumma barik lana fi bukurina wa awsalina wa barik lana fi ghuduwina wa ashiyatina wa barik ya hamidu fi sabaina wa masaina wa barik ya majidu fi dinina wa dunyana. Allahumma ighfir lana dunubana kullaha warhamna wa'inna ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatina. Allahumma zidna fil khayri wa la tanqusna wa akrimna fil alamin wa la tuhinna wa atina min rahmatika wa la tahrimna wa athirna bayna ibadika wa la tuthir alayna. Allahumma ij'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'di tafarruqan ma'suma. Allahumma ya rabbana la taj'al minna wa la fina shakiyan wa la mahruma. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا جزاء. مع السلامة إلى اللقاء.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alameen. Thank you, Dr. Saeed Abdullah Husairi, for the dua recitation. We have now come to the end of the second International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Ida Madiha Abdul Ghani Azmi, Associate Professor Dr. Hasina Ibrahim, and Dr. Abu Hafiz Salahuddin for joining us today. And I would like to take this opportunity to apologize for any shortcomings in hosting and handling this colloquium. And I wish the organizing committee, the participant, and all of us all the best. And may Allah bless our effort in this journey of knowledge, inshallah. Before we end, let's turn on our camera for a photography session to treasure this moment. Okay. I will count to 3 and don't forget to smile. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. And let's end our colloquium with Tasbih Kafarah and Suratul Asr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And see you next time, insyaAllah. Jum'ah Mubarakah. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wa Allah yubarik fikum.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. You're welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Allah khairan.